How are you? Welcome to Real Law State with Patti and Kate. Woo, woo. How's everybody doing?
I don't think we did the woot woot last week, so I guess we're bringing it back.
Oh, she thought we were done with it. And you know what? I did say that, we should go to Fiverr and get a theme song.
Wow.
Theme song. So for $5, right? So we pay $5 and we get a little theme song and we play that to start our thing.
Shut up.
And then we can use it for podcasting. We can have it be our theme song. So, well, my word of the year is celebrate. So I'll be like,
oh boy, we're in trouble.
Come on. So I don't know, but we could come up with something. Fiverr. It's online.
Fiverr.
It's Fiverr, and it's $5.
Yeah.
And you can tip them if they do a good job, and they can upsell you. But you would say out there, I want a 12-second or a 30-second theme song.
Yeah.
That's a positive and powerful and whatever. And then they give you a bunch of people who could work on it.
Yeah.
And you pick out who you think looks good, or a few. Sometimes I've used a few at the same time.
Yeah.
And then kind of, played with it.
That's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Another thing for me to go down the wormhole.
Yeah, God.
I just learned about Loom. I learned about Canva.
Oh my gosh, I know. Maybe we should just
Novio.
Stop and check out. But if we have one, so I had I wrote a couple with bold moves, a couple of theme songs at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like I wrote a poem.
You did?
And I put it to word.
Yeah.
And it was like, let me see, boldmovesrealestate.com. And it went through this whole thing. And it was, oh my God, it's hilarious though. And
that is hilarious.
So we don't have, that I don't want. I just want a little segue in, like that little bloop, bloop, bloop kind of thing. And we'll have a thing. And then that can be, when people hear it coming, they know they got to come running.
Okay.
Right. Don't have to so if we have a theme song, right, you'll come running, right? You'll be like, oh my God, I got to get
it has to be good and catchy because people got to sing it while they're just walking around.
Damn it. Yeah. So we're going to have to
if you make the investment of $5, it better be catchy.
Right? I know.
Oh my God. I don't know what we're talking about anymore. Okay.
Okay. So anyways, let's loop ourselves in.
Yeah.
So this week we are talking about last week we talked about Patti's new initiative, which is the Dirty Dozen Real Estate for Women, which is part of real estate investing. And so you called it the Dirty Dozen Investing.
So it's real estate investing strategies.
Real estate investing
and then
strategies.
So the handle, because I still don't know what else to call it
because
I'm old. The handle on Instagram is Dirty Dozen RE for real estate, obviously. 4 women that's what the handle is.
And I think it's in the notes there. And yes, it's obviously for everybody, but I really do love the fact that you are empowering women to do this because, I think a lot of times women feel like, I don't know, a little bit more fear to jump in.
There is more fear. I think there's more emotion. And I think that kind of real estate investing is still kind of a man's world a little bit, right? So it's a little intimidating, to get into it.
But interestingly, if you look at the statistics, the women's buying power is right up there with men's, and our income levels are the same or more in some cases. And so there's really no reason why women can't embrace this as well.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, we're going to push that rock up the hill for sure.
Love it.
Oh, so anyway, so of the Dirty Dozen, that's 12 people who you need to have as confidants or people who are part of your group of networking. And again, we're going to try to roll this into some actual networking. We are going to roll this into some networking. Well, today we want to talk about number 1 on that list of that Dirty Dozen, and that is real estate agents.
Yeah, because so you have these 12 advisors.
Yes.
And the reason we're bringing it up and why we're talking maybe about, women and some of that fear is you're not doing it alone. You shouldn't do it alone, meaning you're not just going to take your hard-earned money and just throw it at something and hope it all works out.
Right.
You need to do a little bit of homework and create relationships. It doesn't mean you have to put all these people on payroll, but you need to create some relationships that you trust and who know what they're doing, not just yammering on, but actually know and who can help you so you can minimize the risk, because you're going to make mistakes whenever you do real estate investing.
Yes.
But if you can minimize your risk of making those, you're going to be so far ahead of the game.
Yes. And so, and again, I asked Patti if she could just quickly give a little review of what your investing history is, because I think you need to see, feel, touch, right? Here's some walking, talking investor right here.
Yeah.
So give us a little overview of your investing so far.
Well, if I start babbling, let me know, because
I might give her the hook on it, right? And pull her back in, because we want to get into the real estate. We want to get to the real estate agent.
And I'm still in the early stages. There are women who are really seasoned, who know and do a lot more things, you know? but I've just gone down different avenues and really have loved it. So anyway, obviously my first real estate investment was just my house, right? From the family house. We all start there, and you live there for a while, but you look at that a little differently because you're thinking about it's your home. Where do I want to raise my kids? What kind of neighborhood is it, etc. And you're just a little more emotionally involved.
Right.
So, but real estate investing, you got to think, how am I going to make money? So I started to look into some real estate investing, and I've actually advised a lot of clients, and I'm sitting on the table watching them as I look at the settlement statement make a lot of money, and I'm like, I need to be on that side of the table. So it's really kind of figuring out your numbers and taking the emotion out of it, and getting over the fear, right? So I knew what I was doing, but I was still nervous about it. So I found this cute little shack, I'm going to call it, down in Wareham, and I purchased that, and it took the nerves out, right? I did it my own. I was excited about it. It was cute. There was this water view.
By the way, single family homes that is the number one thing that people invest in.
Which is interesting to me because...
And I'm going to give you the stat here because I think I have it. But you keep talking while I find the stat.
Which I find very interesting because I don't think that's going to be my strategy. So when I set my rental rate, and then I didn't have a mortgage on it, because what I did was I used a line of credit on my house to buy it. So I didn't have flood insurance and whatever. But I still look at the taxes, the insurance, what I had put in it. I was making some money, but not a ton. So I wasn't losing money, because that's good. Because I'm always talking to you, my favorite quote in investing.
Yes, and you have to go to her handle and find it, because she posted it the last couple of days, I think.
And my very favorite quote is from Warren Buffett. When you're investing, there are 2 rules. Rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1.
Yes,
so this one was not the biggest investment. I was not going to retire on this investment, but I knew A, my money was safe in it, and B, I was not losing every month. You know,
so that number is 59%.
59%. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Purchase single family homes.
Yeah. So, and I think you have to look at your market, right? Like, what kind of rentals can you get for a single family home? So I think that's very interesting. Or are you going to flip? You know, are you holding, or are you flipping? You know, so many things to consider.
Right.
So once I went down that road and I gained some confidence, you know, and then I did this condo conversion, right? So there was this, not to get into a long story, but so there was this existing 4-unit in a Grange Hall. So it was really this niche building. It was really cool. And we threw on some condo docs here in Mass. So if anybody's watching elsewhere, we just had to do some plans. We had to do some condominium docs. Now we could sell each unit, and the sum of the parts is worth more than the whole.
Yeah, generally significantly more. Yes.
So I make a profit on that, and I'm like, whoa, I gotta start doing more, right?
Yep.
So now I'm looking at my little dinky house, and I'm like, oh, I got to get rid of that. Like, there's bigger fish to fry here. So I ended up selling that to the tenant, which is a whole great story.
Yeah, that is, and you can find that on her Facebook. You follow that and on Instagram. Both of them will have that story, and it is an amazing story.
It's an awesome story.
And she is forever grateful. She gave a great review on that. She just, very cool.
Awesome.
Very cool. Win-win.
Yep, it was such a win-win. And I don't know, I could die tomorrow. I know I did a good thing. So anyways, so there was that. And then, so from there, I took that money, and then I said, all right, I need multifamilies, because my thought process, and you still have to do the numbers on these things. But my thought process is, I would love to get like 3 units. So to me, the first unit covers your monthly expenses. Second unit covers some unexpecteds, like suddenly your roof blows off, hopefully not, but you got to make some repairs. And the third one should be pure profit that you can invest is elsewhere, you know? So
I've heard that before.
Have you?
You got to go to the third.
Yeah.
It's going to be 3+.
3+.
Yep.
So there was one that I purchased that was just 2, but that was because I was going to have bold expand. So I had other reasons for that. And then the one I just bought is a 3-family. So that's, and you have to take the emotion out of it. So I think she loves when I tell the story too, that there was a couple I've been looking at. And I had to lay it all out in a spreadsheet and compare them side by side. Look at the cap rate. Look at what I'm going to have to put into them. Look what I'm going to get out of them. Where are they? Do all that analysis. And there was this one, let me tell you. I loved it. I still love it.
Remember, she told us about it. She hugged it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was just so beautiful. And the guy had renovated it. And it was this old craftsman. And I just love that detail. I mean, talk about emotion, right? So, but I had to go back to my favorite quote by Warren Buffett. You can't lose money. And I was going to lose money all over this thing if this guy didn't lower his sales price. He wouldn't lower his sales price, so I had to walk away. I'm still pained by that, and that wasn't good.
Closes
like
her eyes.
She
closes her eyes when she goes by it.
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, I'm driving straight.
Oh.
So now I got this most recent one, and it's taking some work, but yeah, I hugged that one too. But I got that at a good price. And my friend Kate, so the whole point of your strategic partner #1.
Yes.
So on the Instagram, I've been kind of slowly laying them out one by one.
I love it. I love the way you've been doing that. That's great.
Awesome. And then so that's what we want to talk about here is every week, kind of talk about why, right? You can only say so much on Instagram. So why do you want this person? What value added are they to your investment strategies? So during my own process, right, and I know the answer sometimes, but you need somebody who's been in the business, right? So I'm like, hey, I got to talk to you about these properties, and this is what I'm thinking, and this is how they came back, and what do you think? And so I'm bouncing stuff off of you, and then Kate's expertise pops on, and she's giving me all kinds of things I just haven't thought about. And so then I made decisions, and I feel like they were good decisions, and ultimately got the property at the price I want. And so kudos to Kate.
Yes, well, kudos to all of us, and that's just it. In this case, women empowering women, #1. But doesn't even have to be a woman. Like Carrie, you're on, and it's all of us leaning into each other so that the sum, as you said about like the condos, I think that's the same thing with these advisors. Is the sum is way better and more valuable than the individual parts. And
in all the people that I lean on, and ask for their expertise, they aren't just females,
Right.
They are men and women, but I find the people that I trust and who I know are gonna. I just want you to bottom line it, like. Please do not babble on about your expertise in something because all I hear is blah, blah, blah. I've shut you off. Then I got some people who are like, Patricia, like, this ain't what you want to do.
Yeah, right.
And we'll just give it to you straight. And then I have to decide whether or not I want to rely on that information or not. But I know they're giving me what they deem the honest answer in their industry. So so it's very important to know that it doesn't have to be female, but that's who I'm trying to empower to get into the game.
Yes, right. This whole dirty dozen is for everybody.
Yeah,
and honestly, it should not just be all women. And it should be, I would say, in a balance between the two.
Yeah,
but
who are your experts? Who are your trusted people? I don't care what gender they are, and there seem to be so many these days. But anyways, I digress. So to get into,
I'm not even gonna go. All right.
So that aside. So let's talk about what I want to do is kind of interview Kate a little bit today.
Yes.
Because what I want to know is, I know she has definitely over the years represented many investors.
Yes, I have.
In fact, I was telling her when we first came in here, I remember at one of our meetings, she comes to the meeting and she's in her sweats and she's got her boots on and they got mud on them. And I'm like, what the hell is happening here? I can't believe she came to the meeting like that. But she had just walked the land, literally walked the land with somebody who wanted to develop it. So
and you do, and there's a lot of that.
Yeah,
that's actually one of my favorite parts.
Yeah,
because I love being outdoors. I love being outdoors, and I love land. I mean, I love land, and I love the trees. And I did the same thing. I have a 70-something-year-old investor.
Yeah.
And he's looking at a house, but it has a lot of land. So I'm like, let's go look.
Yeah.
And so he's going like, oh, can we just look from here? And I said, no, like if you're thinking of buying it, we got to go walk it.
Yeah.
And it was so gorgeous. And the trees were so beautiful. And if you're a building hugger, I'm a tree hugger.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, these trees, they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so, but I do love it because I just think that it's, I don't know. I think there's something special about walking land.
And that's what you want. You want somebody who's so invested in the project that they are willing to put on their boots and walk the land with you. I think that's huge. But so one of the things I want to ask you, and a lot of these I already know the answers are, but I want you to start thinking about this, is when you're looking for your agent, and you need one, because you need one who's advocating for you.
Yes.
But when you are approaching or showing a property to somebody who's looking for a home versus somebody who is an investor, do you have a different approach? And if you do, what is that?
Okay. Yes, I do. Absolutely. So two things on that is I would say, as this real estate profession continues, it all is going to come down to being the trusted advisor and what you bring to the table with your knowledge and with what you can do to help them, because truly they don't need us per se anymore. Right. So when I'm working, and again, these are generalizations and you cannot always generalize, but when you're working with somebody and it's going to be their home, right. It's a lot about emotion, taking the stress out of it. It's about when they walk in the house, they just feel it.
Yeah.
Right. And so once they just feel it, there's no way to talk them off the ledge.
Yeah.
Like there isn't, like, and you're like pointing out, you know, like rot somewhere. They're like, oh, that's fine. We can just like fix that right up. And, you know, it's a very emotional thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, the concerns that they have is, can I feel safe here? Can I love being here? You know, can I see my family here?
Yeah.
You know, are the schools going to be what I need? Is the neighborhood going to satisfy my need for belonging? You know, and so that it's a lot of warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
And it's almost no numbers.
Oh,
right.
Interesting.
And so that would be how, like, I start with residential.
Yeah.
It's all about the feeling.
Yep.
For investing and for commercial, actually for both of them,
Yeah.
it is not about that at all.
No,
they don't care. Right. So, I mean, they care that it's a good building and they care that it's got a good feel to it, but they care about, number one, how much is it going to cost them? Is it where and what they want? Okay. And do the numbers work, as you said? So you kind of covered some of these, right? They walk into a building and, you know, and they see what, like, their eyes are not trained to see, like, oh, this is where I'm going to put my potted plants. You know, they walk in, they're like, okay, count the bedrooms, count the bathrooms, see what needs to be done, see what big ticket items need to be done for work if they're flipping, or even if they're going to be putting people in there.
Yeah.
You know, what the foundation's like, what the structure's like. So it's a lot about the building on specific things like that, on how much is my total number going to be.
Yeah.
And then it's so that first part, right? And so those, you have to be super quick on knowing exactly what kinds of questions that they're going to be asking, and have the answers before they even ask, right? So
because they're quick thinkers. They're
like,
oh my God, I'm interested or not. So,
land takes forever to show them. But like when you show a property, it takes about 15 minutes tops.
Yeah.
They don't even care, right? But they'll go through and they'll say, what about this? Do you have someone for this? Blah, blah, blah. And they like rattle off their questions, and you have to have answers. So there's a lot more preparedness of facts and also statistics. Okay. So number one. And then the second thing is with them is that when they start talking numbers, it's like residential people are very emotionally attached to their numbers, you know, and sometimes I feel so bad because it's such a big number that they cannot identify. Like we talk, like I say, like we negotiate like in 10,000s a lot of time. Yeah. And I'm like, this person has never spent $10,000 on anything. Yeah. You know, and they save their pennies. Yeah. And we're talking in $10,000 increments. Yep. And it's so scary for them. Yeah. And they don't even know how to explain it. So that's the residential. On investors, it's not like that at all. No. Like they're like, here's my number. Yep. Right. And many times they'll throw their number out there. And they won't negotiate. No, you know, because they're like, here's my number, right? And
let me just stop you there, because I would assume, and I think this is part of what you were saying, is you know the numbers of what they could get at the end. So
well, that's part of what I always have prepared for them.
Okay.
So if it's a house that's going to be a fixer upper, I have the finished price so that when they say to me, how much can I get for this when I'm done, right? Yep. And by that time, this is the other thing. Investors are very often repeat buyers, right? So you establish a relationship, you get in a groove with them, right? So when they say, how much is this going to be when I'm done? Yep. Like, what can I sell it for? And I already have that analysis. I've already sent them it. They don't normally look at it, but they might look at the number, but then I'd say, this is what the market would bear at this point in time. Gotcha. And how long do you plan on holding it? You know, because this is for today. Right. So,
and then do you also give them, okay, so if they're looking to flip, but then you might know what the rental number is.
I always give them the rentals. Always. I always have them cold. Yeah. And that's the thing. You can never say to an investor, oh, I don't know, let me double check. Yeah. Right. And you know what? You can't bullshit them either, because if you tell them $1,800 and they buy it and they can't get $1,500, they will never call you again. Yeah. So there's a lot of homework that goes into it. So, you know, I think about like with residential people, there's not a lot of stuff you have to do before you get to that house, but there's a lot of like coddling and holding on to them then. Yeah. It's the opposite for investors. You do your work up front. So before you go in there, you know, and you have all of your numbers prepared so that when they ask you those questions, you're ready.
Because they're looking, so when they go in there, they're saying what the asking price is. Yeah. You have said, hey, you can get X for when you sell. And now they are calculating in their head, all right, a new kitchen's going to cost $5,000. It's going to cost $5,000. And they're already figuring out whether or not there's a profit.
Right. They are. And that is absolutely true. And the other part about that is if they're cash, you know, that they are big believers in cash is king. Yeah. Right.
Well, let's talk about that, because that was another thing is, do you approach the negotiation when now you're going to the listing agent? You approach it different if you are representing just the residential and buying my family home versus
right.
an
I do
investment.
absolutely, because here's the thing: is that cash? You know, the just as here's the thing: like people will say this all the time, like, oh, the comps on a house. You know, well, you know, well, you know, we can't overpay because we have a mortgage coming in. There'll be an appraisal, right? And so the other half of that would be like, so then a cash buyer would overpay, and that is absolutely faulty logic. You know, by and large, cash buyers pay less. You know, and they're more attractive because there's a lot less hurdles and it's a lot faster. And honestly, you know, right now mortgages are so low. So a lot of times people
low
do
interest rates still.
A lot of times people do want it. A lot of people pull equity out of properties they have. And so they get their equity there and then they buy it cash. So they get the best of both worlds. They get the financing low number, so they're not using their money. And then they use their leverage on that and they purchase it as cash. And that is I think the best financial scenario for them. And and again, that's what I encourage them to try to work on. Like, that's what I did for this building, you know.
Now, and do you find that, and I don't know the answer to, are there certain sellers who are more susceptible to that, even though it's lower, but a cash offer versus
absolutely. And most of the time a seller's agent will tell them that. Like, take this money and run. You know, because again, you know, you get an offer that's cash, close in 3 weeks. Right. Then you get an offer that's a mortgage, and there's something in there about appraising at or above sale price. There's a home inspection. Oftentimes an investor will waive home inspection. You know, there's a lot more things that get thrown into it, you know, and you know this, like, you know, and it's just a lot more complicated and a lot more, you know, I think half of transactions that are going through the process end up not going through.
True.
You know,
and I would just say this too. I just want to pulse from what you said a little bit is, sometimes investors, they don't have home inspections. So if you're just thinking about dabbling in this game, we're not saying don't have your home inspected. But part of the strategies, which is one of the strategic partners we're going to talk about in the next couple of weeks, is having a contractor on hand who's actually going to do the home inspection for you, or you could have a home inspector do it. But that is part of the process, but that's almost already done. Like,
it is already done. And the other thing is that most of the time, at least repeat investors have already are like home inspectors themselves. They know more, like, honestly, you know, when they're tuned in and they're plugged in, like, their home inspections, I think a lot of times speak a lot more to the efficiency of what a home inspection should be, you know. And
it's interesting because even myself, I never built anything to save my life. Like, can we make something square?
She can paint anything.
I can paint a lot, and I have painted a lot in the past couple of weeks. But looking at some of the structural stuff, like, I find myself really engaging. I've had some contractors, there's some joists that have to get repaired, and talking about, you know, even the word joist. I'm like, what the heck is a joist?
Yes.
So a joist and the sister beams, and how to, you know, prop these things up and remove this, and what's going to structurally cause a problem, what's not, and this is an old building, so what are you thinking about? So learning all that. So if you have a seasoned investor, like you're saying, they've asked all those questions a million times, and they know
it, you know. And even when we bought this place, when we looked at this place, so we're at Bold Real Estate right now, that 145 Fairhaven Road. When my husband and I came in and we went to the basement, the actual structural beams or whatever they were like not even hitting the building; they had sunk. Right. So we knew that we were going to have to shore them up. We were going to have to do a lot of work in the basement. And but he knew, because he's very good at making things, right? He knew what had to be done, and we also had some sill work that needed work, and he knew how to prop that up and swap it out. So so he was able to do those things. Now, if I were looking at it for just me myself and did not have an advisor like him, I may be scared by that. And that's why this dirty dozen is so important. You know. And what I can tell you about a real estate agent, you know, being part of the formula, is that yes, you can do it without one. And many people do. And a lot of times, like Patty's done, is her connections have been behind the scenes. They haven't been from MLS, right? So that's often the case. But there's so much crap that the realtor will do for you that you don't want to do yourself, because you don't have the time for it.
And if you're only investing in a certain area, you definitely start to get the sense of the pockets of value in the area. Like, you know where they are. But if you are going to start investing and broadening your ground, you need somebody who can analyze that information. I kind of disagree with you. Like, you do need a real estate agent.
Well,
100%.
I do think you do. Like, I think that it's always a benefit, and I think it's well worth the money. And by the way, the seller pays that realtor anyways. But that's not for nothing. The thing is that a lot don't. Right. A lot of it's behind the scenes. It never even goes to market. Right.
Well, and so I was actually talking to another investor on Friday who's a woman, and she was talking about, because I said, oh, do you ever, cross state lines? You guys just kind of stay in the area. And she mentioned that they had such great success around here. Right. So now they're getting this role. And so they had hit a couple of stumbling blocks in Rhode Island because of the laws down there, and they didn't know, and they should have, spoken to a title attorney down there. So then they went up to New Hampshire. They'd like to go up there and ski and whatever. And while they were up there, they saw another opportunity. They thought, great. But they didn't talk to a local agent. They did the work, and now they can't sell it because they didn't understand what the after reno value was going to be. It wasn't going to be that much high. So they sunk in more money than what it was going to actually be worth, because they didn't talk to somebody local who understood that market. So I don't care what Zillow and Trulia says it's going to be worth afterwards, because quite frankly, right now, what Zillow says my house worth, like, anybody want to buy my house for that? I'd be more than happy to, but it's not worth that, So you really need your local agent who knows. To me, that's so important. If you're trying to keep your money, you need to know that.
And I see that Angie Rosowitz is on, and she's also been an investor. Awesome. And she can also speak to she's the one I want to connect you with, because she's one powerful woman. And so, and brilliant. Right. So, but one of the things that she does is she always, like, she will add to what you're talking about. She always adds a pop. Like, something in her house always pops, and it's fabulous. Cool. But she's got some great stories, and she has her system, and she uses a realtor, So,
100%. And then, I know, like, sometimes now I'm flipping a house, maybe I want to sell it myself. And so maybe that part, I wouldn't even do that, quite frankly, because now you're talking about negotiations. Even though there's no emotion in the investment, there is some emotion, because you have a number you're trying to hit.
Right. Well, here's the thing is, these are all great problems to have, number one. But the second part about that is that, Patty's a lawyer, right? So for her to go and do all of the things that real estate agent's going to do for you, because she wants to save $10,000, $12,000, or whatever, on a flip, say, or even more than that. Like, that is not what her time is worth, right? And this goes for many of the other people. And also, by the way, the same person that's walking in, that's a big decision maker, that's looking around and knowing exactly what they want, and they leave, like, they can't even be bothered by the shit that realtors do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, having to figure out where to put the whole, like, smoke inspection, going down there, filling this form, coming back, going back, and like all those kinds of things.
And there was this woman who, again, that I was talking to on Friday, and she's been doing it for, I think she said almost 30 years or something. And she has used the same realtor. She found this person, I think she said 12 or 15 years ago. And she goes, sometimes I'm tempted. Maybe I'll just throw it and try to sell it myself just to save those couple of bucks. And then she always comes back to, this particular agent has been her right-hand agent who can advise her of where the market is, what it's going to sell for, and get it sold quickly.
And that's the other part. So there's so many reasons. And you know what? And I am always willing to talk with anyone and help anyone. And we have different tools in place to help those people that want flexibility. The real estate agents who are going to be listening to this, there's a real estate investing course. We just had one. We're going to have another one, and it's going to be, I think, in a couple of months at RASM. But you can learn about what this investing piece is about. Number one, you can invest yourself, and you can start figuring out how to get that goal on your canvas. But the other part is you can really start to realize the differentiations between residential and investing, and that investor. And you know what? There was one person in class. I don't know if you remember her, Wendy. She sat right here. She's worked her whole profession has been with one investor.
Amazing.
And, or maybe her whole profession the last several years. So one investor is who she's been working with. And she has covered, she told me her numbers. Her numbers are like awesome. And so
because it's loyalty. If you're, again, the investor who wants to lose money.
But she brings what she finds first to them, right? And so anything she's hearing about, she's got her ear to the ground. They're working. He trusts her, and they have their system down in place, and it's something that's worked out fantastic.
No, I think that's awesome. And then just one of the last things, after we go through kind of the dirty dozen, and who they are, we might start a new segment about different investment strategies. So and get into that. But one of the things I just wanted to kind of pick up on, as you mentioned earlier, about the guy who's an investor and he saw that land and he's already thinking, and this is one of the points where you could be valuable, is knowing, can he carve that off to sell it as a second buildable lot, right? So because now you're going to get some of your money back. So if I buy this for $500,000, you sell that lot back for, say, $200,000. I've gotten $200,000 back before I've done any work on the front house.
So you have to know cold what it can do, right? So I had, I think it was a 26-acre parcel that I sold last year. Right. So before I even took that listing, I knew this was in Rochester, what a special residential development, which is senior housing, how many units could be there for that, you know, what they would need for this. I had already met with the planning board. I had done, like, I knew what to say to them about options, because what if I said, and I gave them a number, and then as we started to roll it out, and it just couldn't happen. So again, that's not the kind of professional I want to be, you know?
And that's the value you need. That's the value in having an agent. So when you are getting into this game, you absolutely want to find that person. And to know that they're almost your partner. Like, you are in it together. They want you to win.
Yep. And it is a win-win, right? It's totally a win-win because their success is based on you and your success is based on them.
That's awesome.
You know? So anyways, what do you guys think? Would love to hear the messages below. Now, we've said hello and thanks for joining for the people who are here. When you watch us in replay, right? Some of the things that I think are super valuable for us is you share with us your experience. And also we can pick up and answer those questions or comments next week so that we all get better, right? Because when we all get better, we all get better, right? And so we want to kind of create that kind of relationship with you. And, you know, that's part of what ReaLAWstate's about, is that smarter real estate, being able to be the best that we can be and kicking up our profession so that we remain a vital part of the whole entire equation.
Absolutely. And, you know, and in real estate investing, or if you're just finding it, like, it's not a zero-sum game. It's not like if I do well, you can't do well. Like,
no,
we can all share this knowledge.
Is that we all get better. Like, we all get better.
And there's always going to be properties out there that need to be renovated. Like, there's, I mean, come on, unless we're
there's enough for everyone. There's enough for everyone, and you know, and so it's definitely you know, a fabulous field. So listen, other thing I want to ask you all is, if you are interested in being one of our speakers for the other Dirty Dozen, right? So if you are a contractor, a tax advisor, a mortgage person, wink, wink, Carrie, you know, if you are whatever those different types of things that we have talked about, if you are them, let us know. And we would love to have you on, because you would definitely fit into that Dirty Dozen. So take a look at what she's been pushing out there. And I think it was 2 times ago we talked about the Dirty Dozen and we spelled it out for you. So do a little bit of binge watching so you can see what that is. And let us know how we can serve you. Let us know who you've worked with. That would be great to share with on Bold Real Estate.
And if you come up with a different strategy, or I don't know, like, we could talk forever about this.
We could talk forever. I know it is. I'm looking at the time. So, you know, so we're going to go, but you are going to reply to us about if you're interested in joining us as part of that Dirty Dozen. Again, look back a couple Bold ReaLAWstates and you'll find it. And if you are interested in being on, or if you have questions or comments or ways that we can help you, please reach out.
Absolutely.
All right, friends. So, all right. So be bold, get it sold.
You can't see it better than that. Be bold, get it sold.